It's lunchtime in France. And now the halfway through the round 3 of competition, it is elimination. And there is the yellow jersey at the top of the Jeep leaderboard. John Florence, so much to talk about here in 2016. Taking on Ryan Callinan, who's also finding a little bit of a blitz through the event here. But while we were away at break, guess what happens?
John Florence getting a nice little pit. So again, I think this is good conditions for both of these surfers, but for John, you know, not bad finding that little truffle right there. That was not easy to sniff out. A little barrel right there, tucking in. John always has amazing technique. Look at that front arm, sort of the Count Dracula stall right there, using the right arm to hug the wall, to slow down so he can stay behind that barrel, disappear away from the judges as long as possible. There's that technical little exit. You know, he didn't have the luxury of flying out to the channel. He had to use that little side door gigs. But John, you know, I have a lot of comfort in saying he's the best 2 rider in the world. That was a walk in the park.
Well, Ryan Callinan now will come to the party with his first ride. Open definition there, using the same right-hander that Nat Young did in the previous heat. And now he's getting a nice rhythm, so big leverage from the tall man from Newcastle, and he flares it out. So wow, this location here in France offers the full package. Tubes, airs, rail, it's all happening here. Now John straight back into discussion. Wave number 2.
Wow.
Are you joking with me? He goes to the air, full loop, and wow, we have a heat on our hands.
But guess what? Giggs, he's going to paddle out and watch John do a big old alley-oop right in front of him. But here's a traditional start. You know, a nice little snap there, carves. I love Ryan's style. Bit of a throwback with that narrow stance, really coils up, but there's the progression right there. He's very comfortable at going to the air. He has a high strike rate at landing aerial moves, so that's a comfort move for Ryan. But this is just too crazy to deny for the judges. A huge alley-oop, getting that tail blasted towards the channel. Clean transition there. He stuck that landing, so 1 barrel, 1 alley-oop for John. That's one way to get your heat started, Giggs.
Loving the pace that comes from John Florence here as he takes on Ryan Callinan. Of course, the big leverage of the Australian. And we'll talk more about that. Let's just slow this whole loop down.
Well, influence from skateboarding, it really is an ollie. You know, he's kind of using his front foot to click and get that pop. And as he pops, then you use that back foot to kind of rotate that tail. But for John, it's a move that is functional today because his rights kind of bend away from you. And that's when you see those ollies really come into effect.
John now wave 3. And the beach is erupting every time he gets to his feet. Little click in the pocket. This wave's got a little tweak on it. John will just flare it out. That will be an inconsequential score. In the tricky beach breaks of France, dare I say, but someone that's not struggling with the lineup too much. John Florence, the 7.83 for the tube, 7.6 going to the air, and Callinan still holding position, and now we'll unlock this. So here we go, second ride now for the big Australian. Soft lip line there, deeper combination now as he goes bottom to top. Little dumpy section, and he'll flare it out again. And Ryan Callinan touching on the progression aspect of the criteria will be owed a second score now.
Ryan, he's a youngster. That's the norm for him. He's used to just flaring it out.
Now on the outside, John off the same peak with the open wrap to start. Right-hander's waiting for him. He'll just dig into it, that big 90-degree hack of his. John will flare it out. Beautiful. As he approaches the beach break here, we think of his win in Rio de Janeiro, and well, on momentum is John here.
Oh, wow, maybe he's feeling a weight on his shoulders, and it seems like the exact opposite. He is just getting that crowd on his side by putting on a show. And I love the mix-up here from Ryan Callinan. Just a couple of swoops, letting that wave kind of form up for him. And as soon as he got just a half of a ramp, he really flicked that tail towards the beach. Got a very, you know, that was a difficult section to do anything with, let alone an air reverse, and he pulled it off with ease. But this is going to be a big score for John. Great variety, nice carve, little hammer right there. Power surfing, and then mixes it up with the air. Huge reverse right there with the grab in the mix, picks the nose. Again, that was not an easy section to go for an air, but John, one of the best. Him and Felipe, they refuse to be denied with airs. If they get just a half of a decent section to go for an air reverse, they'll pop it right into the flat. So You know, he didn't have that cushioning landing where, okay, this is a perfect air section. They make do with what they have. And right here, he's going to pop, grab the rail. There he's going to get the tail towards the beach. Didn't even really pick the nose. He landed in the flats. So, you know, we were questioning whether John's knee was nagging. Looks like not the case, Gigs.
I mean, it looked like he had his own virtual reality Samsung glasses on. He literally had no effect, or had no effective crowd. When he was walking down the beach, there's people all around him, and he just walked by. As you watch him here on this one, looks like he's going to go. You can see you're clear for another big air. And of course he pulls it off, laying it back. But I mean, he did not have any problem. Just, there's nobody in the competitors area. I mean, it was like he was walking alone.
And I think the conditions right now, they've made it pretty simple for John. Instead of him trying to like think about strategy, it's just allowing him to have reflexes and surf the wave in front of him.
Ryan Callinan now, the pair of sixes, he'll want to improve on it. He'll just go incomplete there. Of course, this is our third to last stop on the Samsung Galaxy World Surf League Championship Tour. And we'll talk more about that. John digging.
So a near 9-point ride right here, and the variety was key. Carve, power hook, into an air reverse into the flats. What more do you want? So here's John who can do the best air in 2-foot surf, or he can take off onto the ledge on a 50-foot face at Maverick. So talk about well-rounded surfer.
Well, a tough job ahead for Ryan Callinan, but he will go to the air for his own boost. And well, he's thinking, John Florence, the attention has been on you, buddy. Take this, mate. Wow, what are you thinking of that, Ross?
Well, I think it was big. We had a solid score for John's alley-oop. This was equally as difficult right there. And again, he got a lot of projection and pop outside that wave. Again, watch his surfboard and how high it gets above the lip. That's what's going to make this air legit. Watch the tail. He's going to get the pop, hits the ramp perfect right there, gets the rotation. But again, you can see how high he is above the lip line, and that's what makes that air difficult. A lot of airs, you kind of get it, you can cheat them a little bit and just kind of fling the tail towards the beach, but that one he got high, so the judges went big with it.
And Callinan's been smart. He's backed himself on the qualifying series as well, sitting in the top 10, Ross.
Yeah, he got a big result up there in Cascais in Portugal. So again, I think the judges were really impressed with the projection. He got so high on that air. Just the one move, but it still impressed the judges for over a 9.
Well, here we go. Using priority, heat leader John Florence. Off the bottom, snap in the pocket rotation. Now you know where this is going. And wow, little tweak. Holds on, glue foot for Florence. It'll come unstuck though. So a little under 7 to go. Hands the priority to Ryan Callinan out the back. Well, John at the top of the world and looking to steer it to the finish line at the end of the year.
Beautiful wave here for John, just a little cramped right there, so he had to jam that little turn in there, and that ramp was just a little too steep. And you know, he gotten there just a little earlier, he could have projected up and over, but you can see that lip is already cramping his style. So that lip touched his board just a little more than he wanted. Still pretty wild there that he got that much projection out towards the beach. So it was always going to be a sketchy landing in the flats like that. But John, not able to cover his board just enough, was just a little out to the side and couldn't recover.
Until that hits the water. Meanwhile, John Florence will have the crowd captivated as well. Looking to unlock another number here. He wants to better a 783. Down the line goes the world number 1. Big squared out flare. Will go incomplete. Ryan Callinan, Ross, still hovering in the lineup, needing just a sober 7.67. Yeah, absolutely. Good point, Ross. Bringing out the best in Ryan Callinan right now is John Florence. And we'll see now for the big, tall man from Newcastle. Speeding down the line, you know where this is going. Puts it out over the lip into the pocket. He'll sink in the hole there with 2 minutes to go. Ryan doing a little breakaway here. It has been the right-hander that has been the focus of both athletes in this heat. You see a little movement here now. There are a couple of waves moving through the lineup, but the clock is running out fast here. So Callinan will show very clear intention here. And well, John will play the block, and there's probably not enough time for a wave at the back as we focus on John down the line speed. You know where this is going. And John, wow, and the horn blows, and Callinan is blocked out. He's found this wave, but it's after the buzzer. So wow, what a finish to this round 3 encounter big Ryan Callinan will hammer away, but it is outside the clock, Ross.
Well, what a future for Ryan Callinan. He can be proud of that effort. He threw the kitchen sink at John, but John, steady nerves.
The beach is on their feet here. What an entertainment value at the Quiksilver Pro France. But John Florence will find the win and go through to round 4 of competition. Ryan Callinan bows out. What a great value heat, Ross.